Very good evening. It's 8 o'clock. I'm Tony Ndoro live from Johannesburg, and these are your top stories tonight. The head of the International Monetary Fund says South Africa has not approached her with a begging bowl. Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane finds that Helen Zille violated the ethics code. The Western Cape Premier isn't taking the finding lying down. An arrest warrant has been issued for former Zimbabwean First Lady Grace Mugabe over an alleged assault in South Africa. But let's start with this. The International Monetary Fund won't be bailing South Africa out. That's according to IMF Director Christine Lagarde, who is in the country for a visit. There's been speculation that the organization might be giving the country a check, but Lagarde says she hasn't received a request for financial support. She was speaking at a media briefing in Pretoria after meeting the Reserve Bank Governor Lesetja Kganyago.
I am not here to discuss any kind of financial support or to negotiate any kind of program, and I have not received any request to that effect. So that's crystal clear, and I hope it puts to bed some of the rumors or noises that I have seen here and there about this particular matter. No, not at all. In terms of reforms, I think that there is a momentum. I could certainly feel it in the discussion that we had this morning. There are multiple areas to address. And I was pleased, for instance, to hear that the competition tools that will help address the issue of concentration is already well underway. And during the lunch I had today with business leaders, all of them women, of all ages, from 26 with start-uppers and social entrepreneurs to the high-ranking female leaders in the country, the sense that reforms is a necessary process in order to support the business, the activity, and improve the ranking of the country is really considered very favorably and with great support.
Lagarde says she's discussed with President Cyril Ramaphosa how to handle land expropriation appropriately.
I had a chance to meet President Ramaphosa on a few occasions before this meeting, and the last time we met we discussed extensively the land expropriation without compensation, as he had described it to me, and I understand and he explained to me in very clear details the symbolic value associated with that project, the constitutional basis that is necessary and that has served the country well in the past, present, and hopefully future. And you know, we have a few ideas as to how to make that principle effective, practical, reasonably well accepted, despite the difficulty of those who eventually will have to relinquish some of their current title to assets, so to speak.
Helen Zille plans to challenge the Public Protector's finding that she violated the Executive Ethics Code. The Western Cape Premier was found to have placed herself at risk of a conflict of interest over a project involving her son. Zille isn't the only official that Busisiwe Mkhwebane is setting her sights on. Govan Whittles has the full story.
Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane says Premier Helen Zille should acknowledge her wrongdoing.
She should acknowledge that you don't behave as a member of the executive the way she has behaved, and she should desist or refrain and any other member of the executive from behaving the way she has behaved.
But Zille will be challenging Mkhwebane's findings in court. The Public Protector found the Premier helped her son secure tablets for a school project in Khayelitsha. The Premier says she regrets nothing.
I believe that the Public Protector has got it completely wrong. If I was in the same situation today, I would do exactly the same thing again because it was the right thing to do, and I will be taking the Public Protector's report on review.
Fikile Mbalula was also found guilty of breaching the ethics code while sports minister, but was let off the hook. Instead, Mkhwebane is asking the NPA to investigate whether the nearly 700,000 rand used to pay for his Dubai family trip were the proceeds of money laundering.
Criminal conduct, if NPA is investigating whether those were proceeds of money laundering, surely the investigation won't only focus on that. Surely they will have to investigate whether indeed it was corruption and whether there's any case for Mr. Mbalula to answer to.
It's not clear whether Mbalula will also appeal Mkwebane's findings. He's yet to be reprimanded by the ANC. Govan Whittles, Pretoria.
Now, farmers in Philippi are in for a tense holiday season after a spate of robberies. A foreman was killed during an armed robbery by 10 suspects at one of the farms in that area. This was the third farm murder in the Western Cape in the last week. Now, farmers fear more attacks from a suspected syndicate that's been terrorizing the area now for months.
Niklaas Strydom married his partner of the past 11 years and mother of his 2 kids only 4 days before he was murdered. His widow, Shirley Hartzenberg, too heartbroken to speak about his death. Classy, as he was known, died on his way to hospital on Sunday morning after he was shot by robbers. The farmer and his son was working on their farm here when 10 men approached them on the pretext of doing business. Suddenly, a firearm was pointed at them. The farmer was forced to open the safe and hand over cash. After the robbery, the farmer, his son and their staff were locked up in the storeroom. The business doesn't accept cash anymore. 2 months ago, it was also targeted by armed robbers. Names are being withheld to protect identities.
The community itself is at a high level of vigilance, you could say, yeah. And everybody's on a standby.
The man says they experience at least 1 armed robbery per month. 1 suspect was fatally wounded and 2 have already appeared in court. Police have deployed additional resources in the manhunt for the others who got away in a white Toyota Avanza. Last week, an elderly couple was found murdered on their farm in Bonnievale. A man from Greyton has appeared in court after being found with their possessions. Nadine Theron, Philippi.
What's wrong?
Mop-up operations are underway after a devastating fire in the Eastern Cape holiday town of St. Francis. At least 10 homes were burnt to the ground in the fire that started on Tuesday morning. Residents are now picking up the pieces, with many saying that the community has rallied to help. Cleanup operations are expected to continue for the next few days. It's suspected the blaze was due to human error.
What we heard unofficially is that somebody made a fire in a veld this morning. That veld fire basically got out of control. There was a southwesterly wind that picked up that fire, and then the fire just jumped, and it happened very quickly. So yeah, that's the consequence of somebody being very irresponsible. You're looking at close to 100 million, or maybe just over 100 million of damage to houses. Vegetation, that still has to be determined, but you're looking at damage of over 100 million.
AfriForum says a warrant of arrest has been issued for former Zimbabwean First Lady Grace Mugabe. This is in connection with the assault of a South African model, Gabriella Engels, in 2017. Engels was reportedly in the company of Mugabe's sons in a Sandton hotel room when the assault took place. Mugabe is said to have beat her using an extension cord. Grace Mugabe was allowed to leave South Africa after the alleged attack, but a high court has since set aside the decision to grant her diplomatic immunity. Okay, stay with us on E. This is coming up. Zimbabwe's MDC Alliance is calling a report on post-election violence a whitewash. But before we get there, Muteo will update us on some business news.
Definitely the market trading quite well today, with banks and retailers as well as mining stocks are pushing up the local market today.
Welcome back. Muteo Khwaribe joins us now with some business news and bad news. Prices of medicine going up.
Definitely. I mean, the good thing, I guess, by the health department is that they are regulating the prices of medicines. But the bad thing is this time around, they've gone up, of course. Last year at 1.2%, now at 3.78%. Of course, this is the basic price of medicines as they leave the manufacturing plants. Of course, manufacturing's rather saying that they are happy with this particular increase because they hadn't factored in value-added tax for this year, and they've lost quite a bit of money from that. But when you consider that that it's a 50 billion rand industry. Not much money they were really losing. I checked some of the results from Adcock Ingram releasing quite positive results before this particular increase. What it does mean for the consumer is that there'll be a knock-on effect on the medicines that you do buy, and also some of the medical aids will have to shoulder some of those prices that are going up, which means the rates of medical aids will also go up above inflation. You and I are in the wrong industry. Definitely, she should have been in medicines. Exactly. How are the markets today? Quite well today. Trading quite positively was the all share, as well as industrials today. Financials, though, were the biggest pusher of the day as banking stocks took some profits on the day. Mixed bag for mining shares. Gold was the leader there, though, up more than 2%. Platinum also retreating today, while resources kept it quite marginal at 0.33%. Price of gold showing an interest there from investors at $1,254 an ounce, while platinum was down 0.36%. Brent crude keeping incredibly low at $57.63 for that petrol price. While the local rand also punching above its weight as well at 14 rand 14 against the dollar ahead of the US Federal Reserve interest rates at 16 rand 16 against the euro, and also quite strong against the pound at 17 rand 91 cents. Matteo, as always, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Right, let's move on to our neighboring country, Zimbabwe. The country's main opposition has rubbished a report that blames it for deadly August protests on the streets of Harare. Former South African President Kgalema Motlanthe chaired the Commission of Inquiry. The report also condemns the police and soldiers for firing the bullets that killed 6 people. Aldrin Sampia reports.
The MDC alliance incited and pre-planned the well-organized deadly August 1st protests. That's how the Commission's 7-member panel has described the event. It relied on public statements like that of the MDC alliance's leader Nelson Chamisa. He was quoted as saying men ready for violence should be brought onto the streets. But the opposition is calling the report a whitewash.
The MDC president said very clearly, in no unequivocal terms, that the party does not condone violence. The party has never been a party of violence.
President Emmerson Mnangagwa too is blaming the opposition. Reading from the report, Mnangagwa condemned the use of force against the protesters.
The use of live ammunition directed at people, especially when they were fleeing, was clearly unjustified and disproportionate.
Among the report's recommendations is that the victims and families of the deceased be compensated. The Electoral Commission must also consider releasing the results before the 5-day deadline as per the Constitution. And police must speedily conclude their investigations, while prosecutions must be instituted. This means that for now at least, justice for families of the 6 people who died is deferred. Aldrin St-Pierre, Johannesburg.
Right, coming up, we'll bring you some of the weather details with Candice, who's standing by at our weather center, and then find out which zoo inhabitants are on Santa's nice list this year. Welcome back. Let's go straight to Candice at our weather center. Candice, please enlighten us. What can we expect for the next couple of days?
Well, hi, good evening. We've had lots of thunderstorm activity, particularly over KwaZulu-Natal and Mpumalanga this afternoon. And those thunderstorms are set to stay in more or less the same region over the next couple of days. Today, we even saw a cold front sweeping over the southern part of South Africa, bringing in some rainfall with it. It starts to head off into the Indian Ocean on Thursday, but behind it, we have quite a strong ridging high, and that usually brings in cooler weather over the eastern part of the country. It also brings in quite a bit of cloud as well as the possibility of rainfall mainly along the east coast. We're expecting up to a 60% chance of thunderstorms over the northeastern interior on Thursday. There's also a watch by the South African Weather Service for severe thunderstorms, and that's possible over parts of Limpopo and Mpumalanga with the possibility of some large hail. But we're expecting sunny and hot weather over the western part of the country. It'll be a fine and dry Thursday throughout the Northern Cape. You'll see most West, highs heading into the low and middle 30s here. 27 for Sutherland though, with a bit of cloud for Alexander Bay at 25 degrees. Warm along the Western Cape coastline, Cape Town topping 28. You'll see maximum temperatures peaking in the low 30s as we head further inland with a predominantly sunny day. Warm and dry over the western part of the Eastern Cape, Graaff-Reinet and Somerset East both at 29, but you'll see cooler temperatures in the east with the possibility of thundershowers, and we're expecting a bit of rain into Bishu and East London. Cloudy weather pushes in over KwaZulu-Natal with a cooler day on Thursday. 20 degrees for Pietermaritzburg, 23 for Durban and Ulundi. Rain is forecast along the coast with thundershowers over the interior. Quite cloudy as we head towards Mpumalanga. Highs head into the mid-20s for eMakazeni and Ermelo, with up to a 60% chance of thunderstorms for Mpumalanga, as well as into parts of Limpopo, particularly over the southern parts. Isolated thundershowers are expected as we head towards Messina, though, at 36 degrees. Polokwane and Zanin at around 30. Isolated thundershowers are expected over the eastern part of northwest. You'll see a toasty afternoon for Vryburg and Mahikeng, both heading into the upper 30s. A sunny day for Bloemfontein at 33, with a few thundershowers for Zastron at 31, as well as Bethlehem and Harrismith at 29 and 25 degrees. Gauteng can expect another hot day. Highs head into the low 30s here, with up to a 40% chance of thundershowers. As we head towards the end of the week, you'll see warmer weather moving in over the southern part of South Africa. Hot weather returns to the Northern Cape, 40 degrees for Uppington. Thundershowers are expected mainly over the northeastern parts, with a bit of rain along the coast. And then by Saturday, you'll see thundershowers extending from northwest all the way through to the KZN coastline. Overall, we're expecting a warm to hot Saturday. That's all from the Weather Centre for now. Have a great night.
Thank you so much, Candice. We'll catch up with you later. That's your weather for now. What we got? While many of us are anxiously waiting for Christmas to come around, some lucky zoo animals have already been the lucky recipients of edible gifts. Slindela Masekane was there when Santa Claus made his rounds at the National Zoological Gardens in Pretoria.
We're at the National Zoological Gardens, also known as the Pretoria Zoo, and in the true spirit of giving, Santa will be making a special delivery.
The animals are treated like our children, so obviously they've got to get Christmas presents just like any child that's receiving presents from Santa.
On Santa's so-called nice list are the zoo's 51 penguins. They were treated to lavender flowers, which they use for nesting. Can you unwrap a Christmas present faster than a Komodo dragon? They were treated to some juicy rats. The ring-tailed lemurs also gobbled up their special meal, pine cones coated in peanut butter and raisins, as well as some fruit. Zoo officials say this tradition isn't only good fun, but also helps enrich the animals. Special activities at the zoo will run throughout the holiday season. Slindela Masekane, Pretoria.
And I don't get a single present at Christmas. Here's a reminder of your top stories before we go. The head of the International Monetary Fund says South Africa hasn't approached her with a begging bowl. Public Protector Bosisiwe Mkhwebane finds that Helen Ziller violated the ethics code. The Western Cape Premier isn't taking that finding lying down. An arrest warrant has been issued for former Zimbabwean First Lady Grace Mugabe over an alleged assault in South Africa. That's it for myself and the team behind the scenes. Very good night.